Hello, welcome to today's audio log. It is 8:33 p.m. on the 29th of June, 2024. And I'm going to be honest with you, today has not been an interesting day. However, I didn't want to just talk about nothing for 10 minutes, and so I've decided to tell you a story. A story from my life, long time ago, but I thought it might be fun to tell, because it's somewhat of an entertaining story, at least from my perspective. But before I get into that, I just want to say that I'm doing well today. It's been a good day for me. I'm currently feeling a bit sick because I think I ate too much, but that's okay. I'll be fine, I'm sure. um, but yeah, it's been a nice day. Like I said, nothing has really happened, so I'm not going to really talk about my day. Let me get into the story. So, this is a story from, this would have been 2010? Yeah, 2010, I think. So, a long time ago. Yeah. Anyway, so I was in. Actually, I'll start with who the story involves. Obviously, I'm involved. Um, my well, I used to have a best friend in primary school. Um, we did absolutely everything together. We would spend all of our free time together during school. So when breaks happened, we'd sit next to each other in class. We would sit next to each other at lunch. We would do absolutely everything together. We were basically joined at the hip. Like, you would not see one of us without the other. And even outside of school, we would, even though we didn't live particularly close to each other, we still were able to meet up outside of school. We would be at each other's birthday parties. We would, at any opportunity to be together, we would be. It was a great friendship. And yeah, he was definitely my best friend, 100%. So that lasted pretty much all throughout primary school. So from the ages of around 5 to 9 or 8, something like that, like 3-4 years. Yeah, it was great. And so when we finished with primary school and moved up to middle school, we went to the same middle school, obviously. There were two main options for all of the students, but one of them was considered to be a bit less respected. I don't know if that's the right word. One of them was definitely the clear choice. Out of the two. I don't know if you can hear that or not. There are people in the garden shouting, so I apologize if you can. Anyway, so we went to the same middle school, and we continued to be friends, best friends, for, I'd say, maybe the first few months of middle school. Middle school was a big deal. All of the students from the various primary schools in the area were put together in one larger school, And so there was a lot of new faces, and a lot of new friendships were being made, and all that stuff. So um, yeah, so we were friends. We continued our friendship as normal for the first few months, like I said, until the third person showed up. Um, I'll call this third person Mark. That wasn't their name, but, just for the sake of not actually talking about them. So this Mark character took an interest in my best friend, and they began spending more and more time together. At first, I didn't think much of it because nothing between myself and my best friend had changed. But after a few months, I started to notice that my best friend would choose to hang out with this Mark character instead of me. And that's when I started to take notice and started to kind of feel a bit left out, maybe a bit hurt, because we had such a close bond up until that point. And unfortunately, it just continued to spiral. Their friendship grew stronger, mine and my best friend's grew weaker, until eventually I was simply forgotten, and I had to go find other friends to hang out with. Um, yeah, that was really really quite difficult to deal with at such a young age. Um, I suppose it was a good life lesson though, if anything. But yeah, so this Mark and my former best friend essentially became best friends themselves, and I would often see them around school together, like laughing, whatever, just having a good time. Um, and they, this Mark character, I don't know if he was intentionally doing it, but there was definitely some antagonizing happening. And I think he maybe was making a point that he had stolen my best friend. Um, so that didn't sit well with me, and I wasn't particularly happy about the situation anyway. But now that he's kind of rubbing it in my face, it was like, okay, chill out. Um, but he continued to do it until one day I took it upon myself to settle our dispute. Now, let me preface this next part by saying I am a pacifist. I do not seek confrontation or any form of violence. I stay away from it all. At any opportunity I have to avoid it, I will. Except for this one time when I it was at break time. Maybe it's like a lunchtime, whatever. And those two were hanging out together on the playground, and I sought them out, and I specifically looked for Mark, and I ran up to him, I grabbed his attention, and with all my might, I kicked him in the balls as hard as I could. I kicked him so hard that my foot hit something hard itself, like I hit like a bone or something, and I kicked him in the balls. So, I don't know what exactly I hit, but I hit it, and as soon as I did, I realized what I had done, regretted it instantly, and ran for my life. Now, thankfully, I was a pretty quick runner. I always have been. So I was able to outpace him, but he certainly chased me, and he did not give up quickly. He chased me all around the playground. I have no idea what he would have done to me. Probably would have hit me back, to be honest. And, maybe I deserved it. But just bear with me for a second. So he chased me around until he eventually gave up because I was quicker. I'm surprised he was actually able to run as much as he did directly after being hit in the balls that hard. But I mean, good for him, I suppose. Maybe I didn't hit him quite right. But anyway, after he gave up, I continued to run. Obviously, I was scared. And I went to go hide somewhere, I think, or maybe just go immerse myself in a different crowd. And that was kind of the end of that. There was no repercussions for my actions. He did not, at least I don't think he tried to take revenge on me at any point, although I made a point to avoid him at all costs after that day. With that action that I did that day, with that single act of violence. By the way, my first ever intentional act of violence in my life, and also the only one I've done so far. So my first and only. What was I going to say? Oh God. Yeah, he didn't seek revenge or anything, so I just avoided him for the rest of my life. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. And with that act of violence that I did, I definitely severed any remaining thread of relationship to my former best friend, and also, made someone else a bit angry. But yeah, that's the story of my first ever act of violence. You tell me if I'm justified. I kind of think I am. Put yourself in my shoes. You have a best friend. You've known them for years. You love each other. You spend all your time together, and then one day he just kind of drops you and replaces you with someone else. And it's heartbreaking, So I think I was justified. Also, I was like 10 years old. These are the problems of a child. So don't take it too seriously, but yeah, so there you go. That's that story. I'm going to call it here because this has actually gone on for a bit longer than I expected. I hope you enjoyed the story at least. I will be back tomorrow, I imagine, for the next one. So until then, have a good day, and good night.